Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with another Blade movie review, everybody, and we're moving on to Blade 2, everybody. My favorite Blade movie in the Blade trilogy, that's right. This came out in 2002, 3 years after the original Blade movie came out, everybody. And this was still before Marvel Studios was around, New Line Cinema, all that stuff. Warner Brothers owns Blade 1 and 2. I just find that very interesting. And Guillermo del Toro, everybody, is the director of this movie, and he is perfect. He's the perfect director to do a Blade movie. He's the guy that did the 2 Hellboy movies, the first 2, not that god-awful one that they came out with recently. He did Pacific Rim, Lady in the Water. Fantastic director. He's very good at doing these type of movies with vampires and creatures and just crazy stuff like this. So I thought he did a fantastic job directing this movie. Wesley Snipes is back once again as Blade, and he is better than ever in this role in this movie. He is firing on all cylinders. He is so comfortable playing this character in this movie. He was comfy in the first movie, for Christ's sakes. The fighting, the goddamn kung fu, and everything that he does, he just looks like a badass, and he does all of it. That's the best part, and that's what makes it cool. Chris Christopherson is back as Whistler. Luke Goss plays Jared Nomak, and he is kind of the villain of the movie, the misunderstood villain. He actually is the carrier. He's a vampire that got experimented on. You found out his father, Damoskinas, who you think is like the head vampire. I think at the time he kind of was like the head vampire. They did some experiments on him because they're trying to get rid of their defaults so that they can go out in the sunlight. They don't get hurt by silver, and they don't die. So they did some experiments, and he experimented on his son, and he turned him into this freaking crazy ass biological morphed version of a freaking vampire, where their mouth splits open right here down the middle, and the thing pops open, and it's and it's got a tongue worm thing that comes out with tentacles and barbs, and the teeth sink in, and then they change them into, oh God, they're crazy. I can't remember. I think they call them the Reavers or whatever. I think that's what they call them. God, I just watched the movie yesterday. You think I could remember that shit, but I can't. I'm sorry. My God. So yeah, he's kind of like the villain in the movie in a way. His dad's also kind of the villain too in the movie. So, and then we got Lenore Varela. She plays Nisa. She is the daughter of Damoskinas and the sister of Jared Nomak, everyone. That's right. You don't really find that kind of stuff out until later in the movie, so spoilers. My bad if you haven't seen Blade 2. It's been out for a really long time, and it's a comic book movie, so most of you people that watch my channel, I would hope you've seen this movie by now. Norman Reedus, everyone, is in this movie. He plays Scud. He's the guy that replaced Whisker, or Whistler. Whisker, Jesus. He replaced Whistler to help Blade make his weapons and everything in his shop, because Whistler actually, you thought he died in the first one, but no, the vampires actually had him, and they had him in this vat thing, and he was a vampire almost, and he was gone for 2 years, because the movie takes place 2 years after the first one. So yeah, Norman Reedus is in this movie, everybody. Early movie for him. Ron Perlman is in this movie. He plays Reinhardt, and he's just another vampire that hates Blade, everybody. Hates Blade. Him and Blade have these little showdowns, stare-offs, and they get a fight scene and everything together. It's cool. Donnie Yen is even in this movie. Donnie Yen plays Snowman. He's another vampire. Because what happens is Blade gets recruited by Damoskinas and Nisa, and they recruit him to help deal with Nomak and this disease that they accidentally created, which they don't tell him at first about. They just say they need his help because this species of vampires that has evolved and turned into something else is threatening not just vampires, because they eat vampires too. And he, like Damaskinas says, once the vampires are all gone, who do you think they're gonna go after, Blade? Your precious humans. That's right. So that's how they convince him to come in, and then he ends up working with this task force of vampires that had been training for years to kill Blade. And he has to work with them. So creates awesome scenarios between the characters, especially Perlman. And of course, the Nyssa character in Blade, there's kind of a little infatuation thing going on there. So, and Whistler does get rescued. They do rescue him in the beginning of the movie. Awesome opening sequence to the movie too, by the way. The action scenes and everything were just badass in this movie. But I do have to say, as good as this movie is, they used more CGI in this movie. I mean, it is 3 years later. There was some in the 1998, the first one. There was some. But they used a lot more in this one, and it's kind of hit and miss. It's some of it's okay, and then some of it's not okay. Like when they're fighting and Blade's doing crazy jumps and Nomak's doing crazy jumps and jumping off pillars and walls, it doesn't hold up really well, some of the special effects. Now when the Reavers or Reapers, whatever they call them, when their mouths open and everything, that shit looks good. That looks good. The CG on all that shit, that looks good. They did a good job with that kind of shit. But yeah, I don't know, when the fight scenes, when they used the CG in the fight scenes, it just didn't, you could just tell. It was like Matrix 2 and 3, like, special effects, which they looked fantastic back then, but they don't look very good right now. So, but yeah, the movie's loaded with action. The cast and crew and everything in the story, Guillermo del Toro did a fantastic job doing this, because he took Blade and he put them in the main headquarters of the vampire, like, kingdom or whatever the hell you want to call it, and he's working alongside them. And like that just alone right there, that whole basis to the story is, I'm all in right there. Like, he has to work with the things that he's been trying to kill now for years and hunt down and kill. Like, I'm all in for that kind of shit. So, and of course a bunch of the characters die in the movie. So yeah, it's awesome. This is my favorite Blade movie, easily my favorite Blade movie. Not that the first one is a bad movie. I just enjoy this one more because it grows the mythology and the character even more. Like, Blade becomes like this amazing, just badass in this movie. So I'm going to give Blade 2 a 9 out of 10, everybody. That is correct. My favorite Blade movie, a 9 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching. And be catching on the Two Bladers, because I have spoken.